Looking at this array of makeup in front of me is making me extra excited for today's video because they are truly hidden gems in the makeup world from some more indie brands that you may have never heard of, that aren't necessarily mainstream or viral, but I feel like they deserve a lot more attention and they work so well, especially if you have fair, pale skin like me. So I hope you find some new exciting products to try out in today's video. It actually feels like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean when they find the treasure and it's like, ah. And if you find this video helpful or enjoyable, don't forget to subscribe for more fair skin makeup content and give it a like so I know to make more videos like this. Feel free to leave suggestions for any other fair skin makeup videos in the comments below. I'll be chatting with you there, but let's get started. All right, let's get into it. I think I may have gone a little bit overboard with these picks. I don't think so though. I feel like you should know all of these because they're such gems. Let's get started with skin prep slash primer. First up, I feel like this brand is catching on a little bit more lately. This is from Typology. This is their Vitamin C Glow Drops. It's 5% vitamin C. These only come in one shade, so they look more gold online, but I can't emphasize how beautiful these are, and the shade is for fair skin. It has like a silvery reflect to it. And although it just looks like a traditional champagne, they're very sheer because they're meant to be mixed in with other products, but I actually really like using this on its own. It does have quite a, I wouldn't say it's a chunky shimmer at all. It's definitely a finely milled glow, and I like to just put this on the high points of my face before foundation. You can also do this over foundation, but I do believe that these are water-based, so you know, might not work with every single thing, but I feel like under makeup it is so pretty. And like I mentioned, you can just mix these in with other products. That's what they're designed to do. But I think it gives a really pretty glow under makeup. So if you usually have a hard time finding good like glow shades for your skin, like the e.l.f. glow product is too dark, the Charlotte Tilbury one is too dark, try this one out. I also really like the Say Glowy Super Gel for the same reason. It's nice and light and sheer. For foundation, this one is matching my shirt today. This is from Clover by Clove & Hollow. The Skin is in Serum Foundation. I use this brand a lot even when they were just Clove & Hollow. This is sort of their new, more affordable brand. I believe this is like a $20 foundation. Find it on Amazon. This is the #1 shade, which is so good for fair skin. It's an ultra fair shade, but it has golden undertones. I find it to be quite fair olive friendly, so I really wanted to mention it in this video. You do get a little squeezy tube applicator, and let me show you this shade. It really reminds me of the Rose Ink lightest shade concealer. It's not quite as light as that, but see how just effortlessly that blends into my skin, and has quite full coverage actually. I actually just like to get the product on my sponge and then start to blend it out. It really does cover everything you need it to. This is a serum formula as well. Though it doesn't feel like a traditional serum foundation, it is really nice and light and skin-like. So look at that beautiful coverage difference, but also the shade. It is such a good shade match for me. So I can't believe I really haven't talked about this one a lot. Beautiful. If you have fair skin, for sure try it out. This foundation, by the way, does have very simple, sensitive skin friendly ingredients. It does not irritate my skin at all. If you've been watching my channel since I reviewed like the original brand Clove & Hollow, wow, thank you for staying with me for so long. Definitely comment if you have. This does pull ever so slightly cool, slightly gray on my skin, but to find a more affordable foundation that's sensitive skin friendly that is this close to matching, I think is a win, because for me, drugstore foundations or just more affordable foundations, it's so hard to find matching shades if it's not my About Face foundation. Let's go ahead and move on to concealer. Actually, I have a corrector here. This is not an under the radar brand, but this new shade is. This is the Bobbi Brown corrector. They came out with the shade Extra Light Bisque, which is an extra light version of their corrector. So it's a very fair peachy shade. So if you feel like a lot of these corrector products are too dark or they're too orange, this one is such a nice shade if you are very pale. I like to blend this in with my fingers. It is a creamier texture, but I don't find that it creases or adds a lot of heaviness to the under eyes. But also honestly wear this on its own if that's all you need. I do have a great concealer recommendation though. Next is a bit more of a luxury brand, but I love this concealer formula and shade. This is from Surratt. This is their Dewdrop Concealer, I believe, which has a sponge tip applicator. This is the shade 1, which is the lightest shade. Look how fair this concealer is. It's almost white, which is pretty incredible to find in a concealer formula. So I think it's worth the money if you are having problems finding light brightening concealers. And this is a thinner consistency, definitely has like medium buildable coverage, and I feel like it just looks so beautiful under the eyes. Really does last. I use the House Labs concealer a lot if I want something slightly more golden, but this one I feel like actually brightens my under eyes, which is a rarity. Moving on, I want to mention some cream products before we move into setting everything. So first, for cream bronzer is this Ogee stick. This is the shade Copper. Now, you may not be drawn to these like darker shades. I'm usually not, but I find a lot of these deeper bronze shades usually have a lot better undertone than lighter bronzers. And as long as you pick a formula that is sheer like this is a stick cream, definitely slightly stiffer, that needs to be warmed up. But once it's sheared out, it has such a nice neutrally bronzy shade, and it does have a little bit of glow in there as well. It was a little bit difficult to come up with new recommendations because I've done so many videos on Vera Skin bronzer guides, but this was an indie brand, a newer one that I have discovered, and I feel like it's so pretty. So I'm actually going to go ahead and use a little bit of this today. And I like to take a smaller buffing brush. This is one from Luxie, one of my favorites. It's called their small contouring brush, and then I'm just going to work this into the skin. And isn't that just so pretty and natural looking? This is truly a hidden gem. Why I love making these videos, because I don't think a lot of people with fair skin would look at this deeper bronzer stick and be like, that is gonna be a really pretty bronzer on me. But that's why I make these videos, so you don't have to waste money on like trying stuff that might not work. And just, yeah, some little weird hidden gems in here that they're unique, but they work really well. Next, for setting powder, I have a really good brand to recommend to you. This is the brand Florasis, which is a C Beauty company. They have a lot of different kinds of powders. This is a loose version. I also have the pressed version, and they come out with a couple different undertones usually in each powder. I have a lavender one, and they also have like a slightly warmer peachy one. This one is truly translucent. I find like all of their powders, the pressed and the loose, they're very fair and translucent, and they're not going to darken your face. Say like the Laura Mercier one does have a little bit of that yellow tint. These are truly translucent. So this one is the gorgeous Peach Blossom powder. Let me open it up. Also just absolutely stunning packaging. So this you twist to open, and then you get this really gorgeous little powder puff, and then it does have a closure. Open it up, and then you have the powder well. I find this is a really nice and light, pretty under eye setting powder. I wouldn't say it's completely matte. It does have a slight sheen to it, but I wouldn't say as much as like a Laura Mercier brightening powder that has a little bit of a more visible shimmer in it. This one is very low key, also really gentle on the skin. And then I like to take the little puff for the larger areas of my face. I think the key with like fair skin makeup, pale skin makeup, is finding makeup that actually enhances our skin and goes with our skin and doesn't just give us more problems, which seems simple, right? But like even just something as easy as a powder, most people can just like go to the drugstore and buy a powder if they don't have fair skin. But like a lot of them are just too dark because the minerals and pigments in them aren't actually translucent. So this is one of my favorite translucent powders. If you do have any C Beauty or K Beauty recommendations or Japanese beauty, like anything, let me know, because I'm really interested in this sector of beauty, but I'm not super experienced with it, so I would like to know if you have any favorites. Next, I just want to quickly talk about two powder foundations actually before I move on. First is Alima Pure. This is such a great like clean indie beauty brand. Their Satin Matte Foundation is a classic. I've been using it for so long. They have an olive 0 shade. This is slightly warm for me, but the fact that they even have an olive undertone in this fair of a shade, I really applaud. It is pretty dang good match. And actually, since the foundation is slightly cool, I'm gonna take a little bit of this since this one is slightly warm, and we'll just boost that coverage a little bit and hopefully make the shade suit us a little bit better. I usually do use this powder foundation in this way where I'm using it to top a foundation, but I think it's really pretty on its own. Though this is not an indie brand, I just had to give this a shout out as a hidden gem. One Size powder foundation, they make a white shade. This is called Stage White. This obviously I wouldn't wear all over your face unless you need that, but this is a really great brightening powder foundation. You can do it under the eyes, you can do it on the high points. Can be slightly heavy. It's definitely like a creamier powder foundation, but I think it's so great just to have a pure white option if you feel like nothing is light enough to highlight. I like to take this actually on this KVD brush right under the cheekbones, tops of the cheekbones. If you're looking for a matte highlighting powder, this is it. Look, it actually brightens. I love that. I think if you have pale skin and you have this on hand, you're gonna find a lot of different ways to use it. For bronzers and contours, I actually have quite a few options. I was really excited to share these with you. I want to start with one that's more of an unconventional pick for a bronzer, which is actually a blush. I know a lot of you use like rosy brown blushes as bronzers, which I think is such a great sort of like substitution if you feel like your bronzer is always too warm and you need slightly more like red pink tones. This is from Make Beauty. This is their Skin Mimetic Microsuede blush in Celestial Rose, which most people may see this as a nude blush, but I saw bronzer potential. I like to use a fluffier brush with this. Make sure the pigment is evenly in the brush. And then I just like to stipple this on. We do have that cream bronzer on below that, but just look how natural. And because this is like a more sheer fair color as well, it's just never gonna be too pigmented or too orange. These blushes are great. Like I love a lot of these shades. I hadn't used this one a lot just because I felt like it didn't suit me as a blush, but as a bronzer. It works so well. This is a true matte formula, by the way. If you need all of my favorite bronzer recommendations that will not turn orange, I have a full video. You may have already seen it. If not, I like to give it a mention because there is so many in that video that I tested. But let's move on to contours. I actually have two here to mention. First is the Haley's Beauty Contour Powder. This is the shade Light. Absolutely love the shade. It's so perfect. It's more of a neutral contour. I did also just do a contour video. If you're looking for one that's not too cool, it has a nice neutrality to it, but it doesn't pull warm, so it still works as a contour. This is such a great one. Smooth, silky, matte, user-friendly, just like beautiful powder. Also on the slightly more affordable side, which is, we love that. Another indie brand contour that I really like is Kimchi. This is their Thailor contour in the lightest shade. Now this comes with a highlight shade that is actually light enough. It's not a pure white. It does have like a slight tint to it, but it's still not too dark. And then this is the contour, which I find slightly warm. It's also really pigmented, so I give the warning that you have to be like very careful with this. Almost works as like a bronzer slash contour hybrid. Very pretty like sheen satin formula. I think if you're looking for a 2-in-1, like a powder, this does have a slight sheen in it as well, not completely matte. Powder highlight that is nice and light, and then a contour and you just want in one little compact. Such a good choice. Moving on to blush, I also have multiple options for this category because I love blush and I love sharing little hidden gems of blushes. First is from Jane Iredale. They do have this brand at Ulta. I feel like it's not like a super popular brand though. This is their blush in Cotton Candy. This is such a pretty pale shade. Now I do want to mention this does have quite a thicker shimmer in it. I just like to mention it because it is so pretty and light, and I actually like how it has a silver shimmer in it. See how you can like barely see it on my hand? You really have to build this up. So if you feel like most blushes just right off the bat end up too pigmented on you, this is pretty if you like a shimmery blush. And I also have another color from Make Beauty one to mention. This is their Cosmic shade, which is this very light, it's a slightly more peachy blush, but it definitely still has that true like just pink, very baby pink tone to it. It's actually more of like a neutral peachy pink. I think this is so pretty, and this is the same formula as the one I use as bronzer, so it's a matte formula but it still looks really skin-like, and that's the point of why they named it Skin Mimetic, is because it mimics skin very well. It doesn't look powdery. And then my two cream options, this is from Bloomeffects. This is their Tulip Tint Lip and Cheek Balm in Stroopwafel. This is a really pretty neutral, like not as fair as those other options I showed you. Definitely more of a bright pink, nice and creamy, just such a pretty shade on fair skin. I'll do a little bit on my lips since it is multi-use. And then I also have one from Minori. This is called their cream blush in the shade Orchid. If you're looking for a slightly deeper, more like purple option, still very nice and creamy, this is a really gorgeous like mid-tone purpley pink. But I feel like neither of these, they don't pull too dark on my skin. I don't really like a dark blush. I like something that lifts my face. And these are gorgeous. I think I'm gonna pop on the Jane Iredale one today, which is quite shimmery, but I'm feeling it. I think the shade's gonna work really well with that blush we used as bronzer. It almost works as a highlight. Like, look at how glowy it is. It's actually so pretty. Yeah, it truly does give you the appearance of like a highlight and blush in one, so just be aware of that if you're interested, that it is very shimmery. It's gonna give you both. Yeah, I just love how light the shade is. Like, I kind of packed this on and it's still not too dark. Also pop on just a little bit of the Make Beauty one just on the backs of the cheeks. You can tell this one has a slightly more pink shade. I just want to show you how all these look because they're really gorgeous. This one is matte, so it's not going to add to the shimmer load. And then we have highlights, which is another category I wanted to share a lot of hidden gems in. First, another product from Iredale. This is a cream highlight. This is the Glow Time highlighter stick in Cosmos. If you like a really pretty purpley pink glow, you're going to love this shade. It's definitely like a drier cream, but it does blend in nicely. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it has a gorgeous, like very strong, I would say it's a pinkish purple, mostly pink type of highlight. And then I also have a green one from Ogee. This one is Opal. This is their sculpted face stick again. This is a really, I'm running out of swatch space. This is such a pretty like undertone because it's not, I don't even know how to describe the like reflect. Like it's a true white, like neutrally champagne white. Look how freaking gorgeous that is. I think it's so pretty if you feel like you don't like a pink or purple or champagne, you like something that's just like kind of truly white just to enhance your skin. This is a great one. And my final pick for highlight is this new Surratt liquid highlighter. This is the Artiste liquid highlighter in the shade Frou Frou, which probably has the most sheer base out of all of these. Also has a slight purple reflect. I actually swatched these on my hands. So this first one was that Iredale one, which is the Glow Time Cosmos highlight, which I feel like is the most pigmented out of all of them. Has that like pinky purple shift. And then the middle one is the Ogee Opal stick, which was that really pretty like white champagne. And then this one is the Surratt one, which you can build up, has that slight purpley glow. I think because I've been using the Surratt one a lot, I want to show you the Ogee one. Instead of applying this directly on my face, since we do already have powder on, I'm gonna warm some up on the back of my hand and then actually just go in with my fingers and just tap this on. We do have really shimmery blush too, but I think this is so pretty. The Hermes Living Luminizer is also a great one for a like translucent, just white glow like this one. I did also just do my brows and I used the One Size white powder foundation. So if you have light brows, sometimes you feel like your brows a little bit dark, I go in with this. See, multi-use, really love that. And then I actually have some powder highlight recommendations as well. These from Kaleidos, they have some really unique reflex if you feel like you just want something a little bit different. You're just not finding your kind of undertone that you want. These are their highlighters. They have a lot of different ones. I mentioned a different one in my previous video, I believe. This one is Star Surfer, which is a really beautiful pink. These are quite dramatic and metallic, by the way. So that is Star Surfer there. Really pretty white base. It almost has like a peachy pink reflect to it. And then this one is Space Age Gifted, which is, it's so unique. It has like this peachy pink, definitely very strong like pink purple reflect in it though. Kind of hard to tell on camera how just like unique this one is. I feel like it would show up better just like on my finger. Like all those different pearls. And then this one is Star Surfer, which you can tell is definitely, you know, just more of a simple pink. This one's more of like a very holographic type of vibe. But yeah, I wanted to mention those as a more indie brand. Really fun colors. For eyeshadows, I couldn't think of tons of options. I wanted to mention the Bare Minerals Mineralist eyeshadows. I feel like these probably aren't super popular. These are more of like, they're not a very pigmented eyeshadow. That's why I recommend them for pale skin, is because you don't want a lot of pigment because we are so fair. Like any kind of pigment really shows up. These are for sure on the more sheer side, so they're really workable. Those were two of the mattes. And then we have like a purple shimmer. They're definitely softer, so it just gives you a softer look overall. And this is the purple one. They have a lot of different colorways called Heathered. Did also just pop a little bit of that blush we used as bronzer in my crease, but I'm gonna go in with this first shade, which is called Buffed 1, which is a really pretty matte soft purple. And because these are not super pigmented, you can really just like go in and start blending without having to worry about it being too much pigment right off the bat. Really soft too, really soft, blendable, easy shadows. And I'm gonna go into this next shade, which is called Posy 4, which has a little bit more of a gray undertone, but still in that purple family. Yeah, with this shade, I feel like you can really just see how non-pigmented they are, which may not be for everybody, but if you are having trouble with things being too pigmented and you want a really soft look, I think these are good. Not every eyeshadow has to be super pigmented. As long as they work well, I think the pigmentation level can change. Also, just taking both of those shades, I'm gonna run those on my lower lash line. I'm actually gonna go in with this deepest shade, which is called Plum 6. Now I'm gonna take an angled brush and just in sort of the outer V of my eye, I'm going to start blending this in. And as I keep mentioning, because this is sheer, you really can start with a lot of it and not have to worry about it being super dark. This is just going to continue building on that definition and shape that we're going for. If you need help blending, just go back into one of those first two shades, going over those, make everything look really seamless. Another good use for this one size white powder foundation, just on a smaller brush, you can clean up the shape of your eyeshadow. You could also just do this as a brow bone highlight and inner corner, since there is no white in this palette. And then I'm actually going to take this shade, which is called Thistle 3, which is more of like a mauve-y purple in this palette, and I'm going to start this on the outer corner of my eye. I might end up just using every shade in this palette. They're all so pretty. And using your fingers with these metallics, you're going to get a little bit more payoff than with a brush. And then going in with this one, which has a little bit more of a lavender tone to it, I'm going to do this one on the inner corner. Ooh, see, these are so pretty. I like how you get the different tones of purple. Also just took that more lavender purple on the lower lash line. These are smooth metallics, so they don't have a lot of actual glitter particles in them, so I don't really get a lot of fallout, and also makes them really nice and smooth for every day. Really just like the soft purple look. You could continue to build this up if you want to be more dramatic with this deeper shade. We're gonna go ahead and move on. But yeah, they have a lot of different pretty colorways in these if you're looking for soft blendable shadows. Next, I wouldn't say that these are hidden gems, but I feel like using brown mascaras and liners instead of black for me is a hidden gem if you have not tried it yet. I have two of my favorites here. The NYX Epic Ink Liner in brown. It's a really nice neutral brown. This is actually running out, I keep forgetting. It doesn't pull too warm. That's a bad swatch. But I also really like the Make Beauty Continuum liners. This brown one is a little bit deeper and chocolatey. Gray is such a pretty and unique option as well. I would probably just wear this one on its own, while I have been before, and it looks really pretty, just as something that's like a little interesting on your eyes. I also want to do a liner on the waterline though. NYX Epic Wear liner sticks, again not a hidden gem, but I'm just gonna pick out this purple one called Dusty Mauve for this look. I thought this shade when I first bought it might make me look like I have pink eye, but I feel like it actually works with purple looks. I think in general, just moving away from like very deep black colors, like even if you're just doing a deep blue, a deep green, playing around with those kinds of things, I feel like actually makes a huge difference. It just looks a lot less harsh and makeup-y if that's what you're going for. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the Make Beauty one since my NYX one has run out. I still like this one in the brown shade. And if you're not sure where to start of just not using plain black mascara or liner, I would say just try out a brown, see if you like it. Hope that you do. I've mentioned this in some of my other fair skin videos, but I would not recommend like brown or softer colors, but you can still try it. But if you have high contrast in your features, meaning you have like very fair skin but like jet black hair, you might actually pull off black a lot better than a softer color, so just play around with it. But now that we have that, I think I'm actually gonna go back into the palette and just use that very deep purple to smoke this out. I was like smoking out my liners. Again, just to make things softer. And just finish with some of the Maybelline Sky High Mascara in brown. My favorite, so good. On to lips. I do have some more hidden gems for this category. First is a lip liner I recently discovered. I have a full guide on cool tone lip liners if you need them. This is my new discovery from Wonderskin, the 360 Contour Lip Liner. This is the shade Blush. I was kind of surprised that this actually ended up working for me because it's a difficult area for me to find things that I like. This is the shade Blush, which is a very nice neutral rose. I wouldn't say it's super cool tone, but it's definitely not like peachy or warm. And the reason I love this is because it's so light, and if you can see, it actually, I feel like matches my lip color, which I don't think I've ever discovered before. Nice and light and neutral, like it's not gonna pull too dark on your skin. So let me go ahead and line with this. I find this formula really nice too. It's somewhere in between like a waxy formula and a really creamy one. So it stays on the lips but still has a really nice glide to it. And then for lipstick, this packaging is so cool. This is from the brand Queen Musea, I believe. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's a made in Italy lipstick. This is the shade Becky Sharp, which didn't look like it was gonna work for me. Again, it looked a little bit peachy, but I find this is actually beautiful, especially in combo with this lip liner on fair skin. So if you are looking for something that gives you more of that like neutral peachy vibe but doesn't pull too warm, I feel like this is such a good like in between. And I also have this lip gloss from Pretty Vulgar, which is such a unique glitter shade. I hope they still have this. It's the Money Moves CEO of lip gloss. They don't. I'll try to find something similar. I know Pixie has something similar, but this is one like warm tone gloss I feel like actually looks decent on me. And the glitter isn't like, you don't feel it in the gloss, which is hard to find with a super glittery gloss like this. Also a good way to incorporate more warmth into the lip without it pulling orange, because I want to show you how to do a more peachy warm lip, because I do have a lot of cool tone lip videos, and this one's more of a neutral warm tone because you can still make it work if you have pale skin. Similar undertones to me. Let me know what you think of this final look using all of my hidden gems from indie brands for fair skin. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I'm also going to put another video, probably for fair skin, on the video here so we can keep hanging out, and I will see you over there.